Quiet. Can't do it.
Welcome everybody. She learned to ski and became a ski instructor in less than 6 months. She's very curious, playful, and she loves to learn. She's concerned, skillful, creative, and very passionate. All my good friends from the Iceman Club. Welcome the Pixie Kimberly St-Laurent.
Suddenly I heard, Kim, Kim, panicking voice. And I wondered, oh my gosh, is it my children? I turn around and I face and I see that it's one of the teens that I had been leading during that week. And she's drowning. And she's doing one of these, Kim, Kim. And in that moment, all that I see is the life jacket. I see her doing her little dance. And I see the lifeguards aren't doing squat. What's going on? So in the moment, I swim over. I don't even remember the swim. And I tried to remember when I was really young. I took an athletic instructor's course, and we were working towards our bronze medallion. And I'm like, all right, take her on the side and start swimming. Just take her on the side and start swimming. So I grabbed her. And she was a larger teen, and I started swimming. But she's not one of my children. So I started to sink a little bit. But I just kept on going, and sinking a little bit more and more. She panics. Suddenly, she climbs up on me. I'm below water. I'm starting to panic. Suddenly I remember, in an instant, I go back in time. And I remember when I was 6 years old, and I went down this slide with my sister, and it was in a pool, but I didn't know it was a deep end. And when I landed, well, I couldn't swim. And I was starting to panic, and I called for my sister, Nat, please come. And she swam over, and I grabbed onto her a little bit like that teen did to me. And the next thing that happened, she started climbing on me. I started climbing on her. We found ourselves in the bottom of the pool. So I'm remembering this as I have this teen on my back. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Suddenly I remember once again, my instructor that told us, if ever you're in a dangerous situation, you're going to use any means you need to get that person off of you. So I look at my beautiful teen, and I'm like, that would look really well in a newspaper. Leader hits teen. Yeah, no, I'm not going to hit my teen. But what am I going to do? And in that moment, I remember I have 4 kids in the pool. From 3 years old to 8 years old. My 3 years old only has a life jacket. He's getting kind of comfortable, but I'm panicking here. I'm like, no one's watching my own kids. And then I'm like, darn. I said, if I drown right now, my kids are watching. So all this stuff is going through my mind. And then I was like, what am I going to do? And then my mind brings me back to when I was a little girl. My sister above me, me above my sister, and suddenly this lifeguard came by and just swooped us up, looked me in the eye and said, if you can't handle it, don't go into the deep end. So I remember, right, lifeguards, they were sleeping beside her. I don't know why they weren't helping her. That's right, I'm gonna reach up as high as I can to let them know I need some help. I need some assistance, because if I don't get any assistance right now, I'm screwed. I'm going to drown, and we're going to be both of us in trouble. So I reach up and I stop kicking, just for the beautiful scene of my arm going down and the lifeguards, please see this. And I'm kind of crossing my fingers going, okay, come on, let's just get her on the other side. And it was the greatest vision. When she came swooshing into the water, it was almost like in the movies where you see the splash around the person. It was really beautiful and really, really appeasing. And honestly, it was probably just the stress, because it was just a simple push that I needed to get this girl to the other side. So we're in the shallow end, and I think, whew, thank God this is done. But then the unexpected happens. She jumps on me, and she climbs on me almost like if she's a monkey hanging on to me. And I'm like, whoa, dude, what's this? And then the lifeguard started to coach her. Put your feet down. And I'm like, oh, maybe she's trying to distract her, hypnosis coming in my mind. Oh, look up, put your feet down. Then finally, she puts her feet down and gets out of the pool. But I hadn't realized the amount of stress that my own body was under. And I'm the talking type, in case you can't tell. And I was like, as soon as she got out of the pool, I'm like, did you see that? And is this normal? Speaking like 10 miles an hour. And then the lifeguard's like, oh, it's absolutely normal and so forth. But then I told my 3-year-old, why don't you go lie down on the blanket? Mommy needs to go in the pool. Because I realized I was starting to have stress against the water. And water is a huge part of my life. So my son was like, yay, sunbathing. And then I was like, cool. And I told my other kids, just sit on the edge of the water. And I went into the water. I floated on my back. And just breathe. So I talk about a small, stressful situation to put us in context. And honestly, we'll talk about it a little later of how this whole Wim Hof technique that I'm going to teach you guys a little later did come and help in that one day. But today, hold on. It's not going forward. There we go. Hold on. So today we're basically going to go through a brief description of post-traumatic stress. I'm not going to get into all the rough details of what post-traumatic stress is. And actually, I'm going to ask you guys what you guys know about post-traumatic stress. Because I want you guys to interact today, I want you guys to remember this, and I want you guys to have fun. And I want you guys to come out of this whole talk with something that you're going to take back home. Not only my nice little cute story from the start. And then I'm going to talk to you of why am I doing this whole thing about post-traumatic stress and Wim Hof? Where did that come from? Then I'm going to talk about this Wim Hof guy. It was great. Yesterday people were going, who's Wim Hof? I'm like, oh great, you should come to my talk. I'll tell you about it later. And then the Wim Hof method. And then the test. And then, shall we breathe? We will breathe today. You're already breathing, by the way. And I'm going to teach you guys at least one hypnotic way that you could incorporate this technique with your patients through an induction and probably help people to prevent post-traumatic stress or even assist them afterwards without teaching them the whole Wim Hof technique. And then, of course, afterwards, like I said, this is interaction. So if you have anything that you want to bring to this conversation, if you have questions along the way, we have one time zone where it's going to be questions, but please don't hesitate. If ever I'm weird or if a French accent starts coming out, it's absolutely normal. I'm Canadian. Okay, so who can tell me what they know about post-traumatic stress? It's quiet. Okay, yes?
It's a ghost. It hangs out even if you're conscious of it. It's like being something you don't want.
Okay, so it's a coach that basically hangs out.
A ghost.
Yeah, a ghost that hangs out. Even if you're conscious of it or not. That's a cool description. Thank you, Peter. Is there anyone else that wants to try to give a description of it?
Anxiety on steroids.
Anxiety on steroids. Thank you, Carl. So that's basically it. And what happens, post-traumatic stress, first of all, we all have emotions, right? Do you have emotions? Yes or yes? That's right. Okay. So basically, what happens in our system is that with our stress response, something happens in the brain. And you're going to find out with me, I like to simplify things down to like way simpler than doctors and so forth, because if you can't remember it, then why teach it? But the one awesome thing that they recently found, though, is that the amygdala, this is this little pink dot here, they found in post-traumatic people that this zone here is smaller than normal people. And the question is it the stress that basically, conjured up this storm to shrink this part of the brain? Or are they born with it? And if they're born with it, would this be a way to actually prevent post-traumatic stress, or actually say to someone if they're going to go into, like, for example, military, police, ambulance, or anything that's high stressful, probably let them know, hey, by the way, you have a shorter one than everyone else. You may want to consider either techniques that can help you or even consider another career path. So that's the question. But the problem is they haven't tested too many people with their brains. It's not like if you apply for the job and they're like, sweet, congratulations, we're going to take a picture of your brain just to make sure you're good. They should. But anyways, so PTS is basically like the perfect storm in the brain. I love the anxiety on steroids. And basically what happens is that these two, the prefrontal cortex here and this little zone down here, they're hyperactivated. And they're like, whoa, I'm like super excited here. And they mesh together, and then it's almost like they warp. A nice way that I like to do it is that we have beautiful paths in our brains. Sorry, I don't draw very well. That's why I put pictures on. So let's say that this is the normal path of my sister swimming in water and so forth and having help. So this is the path that I would usually go. Now let's say that it meets this zone over here. And this is the normal path that it would basically cross to get this idea done in your neurological system. What happens in PTS is basically it's like a storm. Instead of following your normal pathways that you have in your mind, it goes zzz, and your mind goes whoa. So that's basically it if you want to really simplify it to the most simplified way. But there's also a path, and I just talked about a little bit about the neurological system, is the atomic nervous system. It basically controls all our things, that swallowing, our glands, our blood, and so forth, our heart, our sexual, and everything that it does. And it basically communicates to both sides. And this atomic nervous system, people said, you can control this with your own mind. So, and when you're in post-traumatic stress, well, it just basically sends up these stress signals. And like I said, the brain doesn't know what to do anymore. And a person that lives it really lives a whole new reality. Reality is really not the same for someone that's living under PTS. And if you realize, I took the D out because I don't believe it's a disorder. I believe that there's a cure, and I took that from Carl over here. So you're going to realize I'm going to be using a lot of my mentors and teachers' stuff today, and I hope to give them credit along the way. There's some of these images I'm going to tell you right off the bat. They're off the internet. If you need the sources afterwards, I would be more than happy to give you the sources. So Wim Hof. Who is Wim Hof? Wim Hof is awesome. Wim Hof was born on April 20th, 1959, and he's a Dutch man. And he is an incredible man. And when he was 18, he had just lost his wife, and he was just looking for meaning. And one day he woke up, and he went for a walk. Nice fresh air, it was nice and cool. And then he saw this lake with ice on it. And he was intrigued. He started walking towards it. He's like, I feel like going in the water. So he looks around, is anyone there? Takes his clothes off and jumps into this ice water. And there he had an immense breakthrough. He started to get answers. He started to see more clearly. His body and his mind were absolutely awakened. So what happened afterwards is he started to do all sorts of feats. Of course, he wouldn't do this in great daylight when everyone could see him jumping in water with just his little shorts. But he started to break all sorts of amazing world records. For example, Wim Hof climbed 6.7 kilometers on Mount Everest wearing nothing but his shorts and shoes. Now, I don't know about shoe, but I'd probably wearing a little bit more than that. In 2009, in February, Hof reached the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in his shorts within 2 days. So this man wasn't just sleeping in anything. He wasn't wearing a big jacket like most of us would be. He was basically just chilling it, using his technique, and doing that. But he also withstands the cold using the power of his mind. In 2009, Hof completed a full marathon. I don't know about you, but I'd have trouble running a marathon just like that. Without training, this is really important, using only his cold technique, his breathing technique, and meditation. And he basically did it in 5 hours and 25 minutes. And there was a touching moment. There's all these things, there's videos on the internet if you want to see all his feats, or many of them. But I love the part of his son. He was having trouble at the end, so he's walking. And of course, everything's tensing up and freezing. And his son's just walking beside him, and it's like if it gives him this extra boost of courage. It was just amazing. My first triathlon, that's what my son did. He actually ran the last 2Ks with me. So Wim Hof broke his own records over and over again in the endurance and ice. So his whole body, you can't see it here, but his whole body is absolutely immersed in ice. And he stays in this for 1 hour and 52 minutes. I'd like you to try now, not right now. But he is amazing. So he has incredible mind control. And it's all about the inner fire. So not only did he test it out with cold, he also tested it out in extreme heat. In 2011, September, Hof also ran a full marathon in the Namib Desert without water. He walked part of the way, but if you're not taking any water, you could understand that you may want to walk. So he has incredible power of his mind. So one day he goes up to these doctors and he's like, I can control my immune system. And the doctors are like, no, you can't. And he's like, no, really, I can control my immune system. He's like, test me. So they thought he was crazy, but like, you know, you're Wim Hof, you have all these world records, so we're going to actually test you out. So they put this dormant disease inside of him, and basically with his breathing techniques and so forth, he was able to neutralize it and basically have no symptoms that should have appeared. So already there, the doctor's like, oh, this is cool, this is new. And you can see they're really excited. So, but then they're like, yeah, but you're Wim Hof, you know, you climb mountains in your shorts, you know, come on, and you do ice baths, so it must be just you. And Wim Hof says, no, give me some people and I'll show you. I can teach them this method, and they could do the same thing. And they're like, interesting. So they said, okay, we're going to test you out. We're going to get 12 people that you're going to train for 4 days with your method. So they basically went up in Poland, and they went to the cold, and Wim Hof taught them all the methods and stuff like that. They came back, and then next thing you know, they're like, okay, let's test these guys. But of course, if you're going to test something, you also have to test the opposite side. So we're going to call the opposite side of people who weren't Wim Hof trained the control group. And then we're going to call those Wim Hof trained. So basically what happened was that they displayed the same characteristics than Wim Hof did. And yet the ones in the controlled group displayed all the shakings and tremors and fever and some vomiting compared to the other side. So this was amazing because all the textbooks said that your system couldn't do this on its own. Your brain can't do this on its own. But they were wrong. So it's great because now they're going to have to go back and write all these books. So here it's just without naming you everything that's up here, you can see the Wim Hof people were pretty balanced. And what happens is that they have this stress response in their body that they conjure up. And basically there's adrenaline, there's the stress hormones, and basically they can descend their own immune system and so forth while they're doing this. So that's amazing. But when I heard this, I was like, whoa, dude. So before I go a little bit further, so why am I doing this whole thing on PTS? Last year, I started going to all these seminars here at HT Live. And I was an upcoming coach and hypnotist and so forth. And my practice, I was like all over the place. I was helping everybody and their mother. And then I'm like, I really got to focus, because if you guys know anything about marketing, you got to really focus on your brand, on your niche, and so forth. And last year, I started migrating to all these police stuff and PTSD stuff. And I'm like, And then my wonderful mentor, Carl, was hearing me out from time to time. And then I figured out, you know what, I'm going to just jump into that. And as Carl was showing me a couple of techniques, I was like, there was this voice in my head that said, no, Kim, wait. There has to be a way to prevent post-traumatic stress. And I couldn't put it down. It's almost like when you get into your car and you're like, did I turn off the oven? Well, it was almost the same way, but with this one question. Is it possible that we can prevent post-traumatic stress? And a lot of my friends that studied psychiatry were like, no, you can't do that. But when I saw this, I got really excited because the protein hormones that were elevated, the stress hormones, the adrenaline, were all things that were already present in conjuring up the post-traumatic stress symptoms, including heart rate, including respiratory, and so forth. So it's like, could this be possible? And then I really wanted to test it out. So, you guys all good up to now? Any questions? So that whole story from the beginning, stress under distress, does it work? I'd have to say it does. Because in my stress response, would have it been a PTSD situation? Who knows? But I think I put the chances on my side. How can I see this is that just, like I explained a while ago, we have normal paths that our mind goes there. And if you're building through technique and building your mind even more, well, maybe that's why my mind was going to find any resources possible so then it doesn't do one of these. But it's not just that. That could be hypothetical in the air. But do you remember I was underwater for a little bit? And if it was just for that, it would have been good enough. I don't know how long I was underwater. And I could tell you that when I started this whole Wim Hof technique, if I could hold my breath for 15 seconds before, when you breathe out and then hold your breath. So, and it's like, I could only do like 15, 20 seconds, maybe 30 at the maximum if I was really lucky. On a good day, maybe 45 seconds. But it was really, really small. And I could assure you that even though there was stress in my body, I basically could keep my breath underwater for I don't know how long. Unfortunately, I didn't say, oh, I'm testing this for a talk this year. Could you please time it? But I could assure you it was more than 45 seconds. So already there's something that happens. Another proof that it works is I went this year to, we went across Canada and across the US and we went on the mountains. And my husband was driving and he's like, oh, look, Kim, look at the nice things. And you see the cliff that's beside there. I'm like, oh my God, I have white hair now. But it was so funny because he looks at me and he's like, oh, you're doing your breathing technique. And then I hear my kids in the back. It's so cute when you're doing techniques like this because your kids start doing it too. And I'm like, oh, you kids are so cute, let's compete. Okay, so it's really, really cute. So I'm like, okay, so I naturally get into this breathing technique when I'm under a real stressful situation. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So will it actually work? I'm actually going to be bringing a lot of my research and so forth to a post-traumatic stress clinic in Quebec City as I'm a student studying theology, which has nothing to do with all of this wonderful stuff. So I'm going to be basically bringing all this wonderful knowledge to them and saying, can I actually test it out? Because I have a second theory, is that if it could actually help someone prevent it or put chances on someone's side, could it actually help them to help them afterwards? Because there's so many techniques. There's hypnosis techniques, there's all sorts of other techniques. But what if this was another method, instead of giving, for example, medication or even aiding in the medication, what if we could use this as well? So there we go. So for the Wim Hof method, of course I can't go through everything today. I don't have a bath of ice, and don't worry, you won't have to get into ice water today. I saved you from that this time. But there is the breathing component of it. There's the cold showers, which emerges to like ice water and so forth afterwards. And there's exercise and meditation, because he does stretches and so forth. A little bit, if you want to compare it to something, a little bit like yoga. And then even just normal stretching and so forth. And then meditation, he brings people slowly into this whole meditation to really clear your mind and so forth. So you're just basically putting chances on your side. So, do you guys want to put this to work?
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. So, I'm going to start off with small disclaimers. If it doesn't feel right, stop. Don't force yourself. If you start feeling tension and so forth in your body, or if you're not sure, just relax. I'm not a medical specialist. I do have my first aid, and I plan to keep my first aid at home. Yes? Yes, okay. Focus on yourself. We're going to be doing the different breathing techniques and so forth, and it's really easy to go, oh, what's my neighbor doing? Oh, it sounds like he's doing it right. Am I doing it right? And then if we're holding our breath, I don't want you going, but he's holding longer than I am. Darn it, oh no. So just listen to your own body. And that's the best thing. Even myself, when I do this technique every day, there's some days where I hold my breath and it's as small as 45 seconds. My highest record was 4 minutes and 40-something seconds, and that was a really frequent one. I could talk about it another day. Don't remember much of it, and I don't plan to recall it right now. And it's like, listen to your own body. The whole purpose of this is not to do a world record. It's to just allow your own system to awaken. And the breathing part is only one component of the Wim Hof method. So if I teach you this method, please refrain from jumping in an ice bath unless you are used to it this afternoon. If you want to know a little bit more, well, I have a surprise at the end because I like to give surprises. So we're going to do a baseline. Does everyone have a watch or a cell phone with them today? Now, do you guys know what a baseline is? Very good. Everyone know? If you don't know, it's basically you want to test it. Basically, I wanted to show you guys that this stuff works, and I don't want you to just say, oh, Kim said this, and it's really cool. I want you to see, like, whoa, dude, all for yourselves. So basically, if you don't have a watch, I do have a watch here. I'm checking the time here. So if anyone needs a watch, I've got a watch. So basically what I'm going to get you to do is just sit down, relax. So I'm not going to get anyone to lie down, but if during the technique you think that you're going to relax more during learning these techniques, feel free to lie down. No one's going to judge you. But just sit down comfortably, and you'll do fine. So right now, what I want you to do is just breathe. And then when I say, okay, guys, breathe out, you guys are just going to breathe out like if it's normal, okay? So let's just breathe. Normal. Give you a chance, so I'll get you guys to breathe a couple of times. That's right. You guys are doing it. You were doing it all along. And now you're going to exhale, and you're going to hold your breath, and you're going to see just how much time you actually hold your breath. And once you have breathed, if you want to just give me a little sign to let me know, so that way I could continue. So,
Exhale and breathe in.
No, just exhale.
And then just hold.
Hold with the breath gone.
So breathe out and then hold it with no breath in your mouth.
That's right.
Okay.
Cool. Did everyone get a chance to do that, or a little bit longer for everyone to do that, or are you guys good? Good? Awesome. So yeah. So now you have a baseline to see where you started. Now you guys are going to do something cool. Okay, so the first part of the breathing technique for Wim Hof is basically you breathe fully in, and he kind of goes, it's like a circle. I'm not going to make you guys do a circle. So basically fully in, and for breathing, just for you guys to know, we have 3 parts to our beautiful capacity. We have the lower abdominal part, which is the stomach. We have just above, and then we have the chest. Most of us naturally breathe with only our chest part. It's wrong. You'll correct that. It's awesome. Okay. So basically, what I want you to do, just to ensure that you're getting used to this whole breathing thing, is I want you to imagine, and you can put your hands on your belly, and when you take a full breath in, you really want to expand your tongue. But at the same time, you want to concentrate on expanding this thoracic cage as well. And if you're like, this sounds weird, Kim, just, you're doing fine. So just breathe. So just take a really deep breath and put it really in, and then just halfway out. And then breathe in and out. Now you can see that I'm breathing, and you guys could continue as I'm talking. Just breathe in and out. And in. Only halfway out. What you're doing is you're oxygenating your own system. And you're basically getting rid of all the carbon dioxide in your own system. So then fully in, fully out. Or not fully out. So when you breathe out, the reason why I say half, no one's going to say, like, what's half, Kim? How do you measure that? Is that like, is this enough? We want to prevent this. You don't want to force things, and you want to keep a part of the air that's already there inside of your body. So let's do that 30 times, shall we? So again, deeply in, and out, and in, and out, and in, and out, and in, and out, and continue. And if you start feeling tingling in the outer rims of your fingers or so forth, or if you start feeling lightheaded a little bit, it's absolutely normal. It's hyperventilating, but it's not to the extreme of medical condition, because you're actually controlling this whole process. And basically, it's just allowing your system. And we're going to do it 10 more times. And relax. And 3 more breaths, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our stopwatch once again. Deeply in. And then you will hold your breath when you exhale out and start your timing. And just relax. And when you feel like breathing again, you will breathe in, hold it for 15 seconds, and let it go. And you may also realize one of the first reflexes that you have is to swallow before you want to breathe. It's really cool. And once you're done, I would like you to the first time. Lift your hand. Awesome. Let's do it again. You ready? We're going to do it 30 more times. So breathe deeply in and out. And in and out. And in and in. And continue at your own rhythm, because each of us has our own rhythm, and you don't want to force anything. That's right. That's right. You guys are doing great. Do a little trick, bring it in even deeper. feel like breathing back in, hold it for 15 seconds. And time yourself. Time where you want to gulp and take that first gulp. The more you relax past that, the more you relax your body and pay attention to where that is in your body, the more you're going to be able to keep that longer. So I'll just keep on going for now and explaining things. For those who have finished, isn't that amazing? So you're purging your own system of the CO2, and you're adding oxygen into your system, and you're able to hold your breath. And what's really amazing about this is that you could actually, you realize afterwards that you're not breathing as much. Usually I do 3 rounds, but since there's only 10 minutes left, I want to really show you guys how you could use this in your own practice using hypnosis skills. So you could say that Kim wasn't pulling your leg, she knew what she was talking about. So anyways, it was really amazing, and I really like it. And what's really cool is that your whole system, you build this whole stress in your system, but afterwards there's all this relaxation that comes over your body. And you're already, after just doing a couple of breaths, you're already doing incredible work on your own system. So imagine if you incorporate this every morning, how amazing you could feel. So now I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Here you go, sir. I'm going to pull another chair up here. You can sit down here. Now, I did this yesterday with someone that didn't know the Wim Hof technique. And it was great because it still worked. So I was like, ah! So if it was one of my clients, I would most possibly teach them the Wim Hof method. So that way there, when I'm teaching them the whole, what we're going to go through in a moment, basically they'd be like, oh, I know what you're doing, and they'd go into it naturally. So my name's Kim.
Hi, Kim.
You're who?
Jamin.
Jamin. Where are you from, Jamin?
I grew up in Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. Awesome. Very good, very good. Are you enjoying this?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool. So what I'm going to get you to do, sir, is I'm going to get you to put one of your hands, whichever hands you're more comfortable with, right where you have it here on your leg. And you're just going to start tapping your finger like this. Almost like if you're watching an old grandfather's clock. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to put your head down and look at this. And as you tap your fingers, you're going to breathe in for 4 count. And out for 2. And breathe in. That's right. And out. That's right. And as you're doing this, you're going to relax every time that you exhale. That's right. And in. Very good. And it's okay if you stop tapping your fingers and you could close your eyes and feel even more relaxed now. That's right. That's right. And even if you feel like holding your breath for a moment, you will see that you'll have even more energy once you release that breath. And it will only open up new pathways. That's right. And you're going to imagine that you're excavating a roadway in your mind. That's right. And you're going to imagine that this roadway needs road work. But there's a base that's there that you want to keep. You could call it the granular. That's right. Very well. And as you keep that base part, you want to strengthen this pathway even more. You probably want to pave a new road with new resources along the way, knowing that you have exactly what you need within you to do all the changes that you were looking for this weekend. That's right. And like on any pathway, there are signage. And you may want to put the right directions that you need to lead you right on that path. And as you incorporate these new resources, you will incorporate them immediately and over the next couple of days. And I will count back to 1 from 3, because you will find 3 new ways to be an incredible man, more resourceful, to be what you ought to be, because you have one mission to live, and wide awake now. Hi!
Hello.
So basically you could use this technique, breathing count, same thing that we just went through. And basically that teaches the person exactly what they have to do in their own body. You could even, I don't like to do it too often. I let him breathe a little bit. Would I do it for the 30 count like we usually do? No. But you're great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Give him a hand. So can anyone tell me what I was doing? Almost mindscaping, yes. Give credit to Mike Mandel. Although you could probably use it for a mindscape, but it would be a long induction just to get in mindscape and get them to talk. But anyways. Yeah. So exactly, using your own map, bringing some resources in there and so forth. So the reason why I like this technique is that if you get them to tap their little fingers and so forth, it's someone that's not used to hypnosis. Guess what? They now have a method that they could go back home and say, this was cool, I could do this on my own. I like with my clients to see them one time. If I need to do repeats and so forth, I like to do follow-ups, but usually it's a one-time deal. And I want to give them all the resources. So it's almost like a Kleenex box. There's all sorts of issues that come up in life, and those are the Kleenexes. But I want it to be like the Kleenex box. I want them to have the tools that they could deal with whatever they need. So if it's through the breathing, if it's through the hypnosis, I want them to be able to do it by themselves. And whatever assumes trance will cause trance. So the whole fixation of the eyes, the reason why I got him to look down and have the fingers way more up on the lap, is for them to fixate their eyes and so forth. So I'm fractionating them as well at times. You could fractionate them in and out. Oh, why don't you open your eyes and then close your eyes and then open your eyes? Anyways, so just play around with it. You could do whatever you want. Hypnosis is a powerful tool. And basically you could do everything you could imagine with the mind. We have only begun to scrape the surface of the mind and the power of the mind. Our bodies are incredible and we have not tapped into all of its potential. And I challenge you now. This is only the beginning. So what will you do with it? How far will you take this? Well, if you're interested, test and compare, sorry. I call it the TikTok method because I knew I was going to start losing time. Okay, if you need me to send this to you, I have cards that I could hand out to all of you guys afterwards. It's my personal card. I could send you all of this and explain to you guys in more detail why I put everything that I did in there. And I like surprises. So I contact the Wim Hof people, and they're really amazing. And on their online program, they basically gave us a discount. So HT Live 2016 _breathe, you basically have a 25% discount. I don't know how long they're going to keep it up. I was trying to postpone it until people that hear the recording will have it. So yeah, I could even send this to you if you guys send me an email. No problem at all. Just come and get one of my cards. It would be my pleasure too. Also, Chris Thompson in the back have these wonderful stickers. They're offering 3 amazing courses for free. I love giving free stuff out, so please go see them as well. Also, yes, with my cards that I have in my purse back here, that as soon as I unmic myself and give this to you guys, anyone that writes to me and says that they want a 1-hour session with me, it's gratuit, so it's going to be free for you guys this year. I honestly believe that giving the most of the potential that I can give to you guys, if it's any assistance or whatever, or if you know someone that has PTSD and needs some help, just give them my card. So the expire will expire next year. So thank you very much. I hope you guys took something out of this. And have an amazing day.